It begins quietly, almost invisibly. A soft sigh in the kitchen, a slammed door upstairs, the faint click of a lock you've learned to recognize. You're 7 years old. You clutch a stuffed animal, hiding your face in its worn fur, watching a parent crumble in ways you don't yet have words for. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's an addiction. Maybe it's a silence so heavy it presses against your chest. And without anyone noticing, something clicks in your mind. If I don't hold everything together, no one will. You smile when you're scared. You cry when no one is watching. You learn to predict moods, to anticipate needs, to silence yourself. You become the emotional thermostat of your home. You're small, but your responsibility is enormous. And the world praises you for it. So mature, so responsible, so strong. But no one asks at what cost. Because growing up too fast isn't about age, it's about psychology. It's the subtle disappearance of a child who learns that survival means hiding, performing, and caring for others before oneself. Picture this: the parent who's too angry to hug you, the sibling who looks to you for reassurance, the silence after dinner that screams tension. Every day, your little body adapts. Every glance, every sigh, every gesture becomes a code. And you obey. You survive. But inside, the real child, the one who needed safety, love, and play waits quietly, unheard, unseen, unacknowledged. Psychologists call this parentification. It's when a child is forced to take on roles that belong to adults: caregiver, mediator, protector. Sometimes it's emotional, comforting a parent, mediating conflicts, hiding your own fears to keep others calm. Sometimes it's practical, cooking meals, managing finances, or tending to siblings. Parentification doesn't just create responsibility, it rewires the brain. The child learns hypervigilance, scanning every sound, every glance, every tone for danger. Love becomes transactional. You give peace, and maybe you'll get safety in return. Needs are dangerous. Emotions are threats. This child is no longer allowed to simply be. Instead, they perform. They become the good child, the quiet achiever, the friend who never asks for help. They wear this mask so convincingly that even they forget it's not the real them. Yet beneath the performance, a silent ache persists. The child asks, "Why didn't anyone protect me? Why do I feel invisible in my own life?" Parentification explains why some adults struggle with boundaries, trust, intimacy, and joy. It's not a flaw. It's a survival mechanism that has persisted far beyond childhood. Parentification often begins in early childhood, in moments that seem small but echo through a lifetime. It might be the parent who can't regulate their own emotions, angry, depressed, or addicted. It could be a quiet household where needs go unspoken, where silence replaces attention. It could be a family system that expects children to maintain harmony at all costs. Consider a 7-year-old who sees a parent break down. The instinct is immediate: I must save them. They stop asking for help. They stop being seen as children. Play, spontaneity, and curiosity vanish. This isn't imagination, it's science. Early neglect or emotional burden alters neural pathways. The amygdala becomes hyperactive, scanning for threat. Cortisol levels rise, making chronic stress the norm. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning, self-reflection, and emotion regulation, matures in the shadow of survival, often underdeveloped for joy or spontaneity. By adolescence, these adaptations become identity. Society reinforces them. Praise for maturity masks the grief of a childhood stolen. Even small, seemingly insignificant moments contribute. Learning to hide disappointment to prevent conflict, swallowing tears so a parent doesn't worry, eating in silence so as not to disturb anyone. These little acts accumulate into a lifetime of coping mechanisms. Children who grow up too fast develop strategies to navigate chaotic households. These behaviors, learned to survive, often persist into adulthood. Hyper-independence, accepting no help, trusting no one, believing only themselves can manage life. People-pleasing, prioritizing others' needs over their own. Fearing rejection or conflict. Emotional suppression, feeling numb or alienated from emotions, both positive and negative. Overfunctioning, taking responsibility for everyone else's happiness. Always fixing, managing, and explaining. Perfectionism, believing mistakes will lead to punishment, abandonment, or disapproval. The short-term effect? Survival. The long-term effect? Exhaustion, anxiety, difficulty connecting, and the persistent feeling of being off or incomplete. Imagine an adult in a quiet meeting. They notice tension and begin mediating before anyone asks. In a relationship, they anticipate moods, smooth over conflicts, and rarely voice their own desires. Their coping mechanisms are invisible to the world, yet exhausting for them. This is what growing up too fast does. It creates a person who functions well on the surface but struggles beneath it, carrying the weight of unresolved childhood trauma. The cost of parentification is subtle but profound. It shapes adult life in ways that are often invisible, even to the individual. Relationships, adults may give more than they receive, stay silent to avoid conflict, or distrust softness. Career, overfunctioning, perfectionism, and fear of failure often drive high achievement but at the cost of burnout. Self-worth, identity becomes tied to productivity and usefulness rather than intrinsic value. Emotional health, happiness may feel unsafe. Stillness, rest, and leisure feel suspicious or even guilty. You may notice patterns, apologizing for crying, flinching at praise, and confusing exhaustion with success. You may feel anxious in calm moments, as if danger is always around the corner. These are not quirks, they are echoes of a child who learned that survival depended on vigilance, performance, and self-suppression. Reflect. Have you ever felt joy and immediately felt unworthy of it? Or worked tirelessly to earn love and attention? That is the lingering shadow of a child forced to grow up too fast. Why would a child take on such a heavy burden? Because attachment is survival. Children are wired to bond. In the absence of safety, they adapt. Sacrificing authenticity becomes instinct. Compliance, silence, or caretaking may feel like the only path to connection. It's not weakness, it's intelligence. The child calculates, if I can stabilize this adult, maybe I'll be safe. If I hide my needs, maybe I'll be loved. And the tragedy, these survival skills, once adaptive, become lifelong limitations. Hypervigilance, overfunctioning, and emotional suppression feel safe. They feel natural. They feel like you. Metaphorically, it's like being a soldier trained for a war that ended years ago. The skills once necessary now limit freedom. You walk through adult life expecting chaos, bracing for abandonment, ready to sacrifice again because that's what saved you once. Healing begins with acknowledgement, witnessing the child you left behind, not fixing, not a distraction, not performance, witnessing. Ask, what did I need then that I never received? Common answers. I needed someone to tell me it wasn't my fault. I needed someone to notice me without demanding I perform. I needed to play, rest, and cry without fear. Shadow work allows you to meet these needs now. Steps include inner child dialogue, visualize holding your younger self. Ask, listen, validate, and comfort. Daily micro-permissions, allow yourself rest, play, and unproductive time. Boundary practice, saying no is reclaiming your energy. Self-compassion rituals, write letters, meditate, or journal for your younger self. Healing is not linear. You will feel like that small child again. And that's the point. Feeling is freedom. It's the process of remembering you are human, not a mask. What happens when you finally hold that child? You stop walking on eggshells. You stop confusing exhaustion with worth. You allow softness without guilt, stillness without fear, joy without condition. You stop over-functioning and start nurturing the person who never got nurtured. Your maturity was never the problem. The problem was having no choice. Now, you do. You can rest. You can honor your own needs. You can play, laugh, cry, and simply exist. Yes, it will take time. You may regress, feel fragile, anxious, or invisible. Let it happen. Let the child cry. Let them play. Let them finally exist outside the mask. This is growth not through fear, responsibility, or performance, but through truth, presence, and self-compassion. You never had a childhood, but you still have a future. And this time, you get to write it. The child you buried is still there, and now you are free to hold them. You are finally growing up, not through survival, but through love, recognition, and freedom.